A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another Fighting Fantasy game book playthrough, so cheers to that. Now, if you talk to anyone who is a fan of the Fighting Fantasy franchise, they will inevitably tell you that one of their favorite books of all time is Death Trap Dungeon. Death Trap Dungeon introduced the players to the city of Fang and the villainous Baron Succumbit, who has designed this immense labyrinth dungeon underneath Fang, and he will award anyone that can complete it 10,000 gold pieces or gold coins. Now, Death Trap Dungeon is difficult, it's long, it's arduous, it's freaking fantastic. What I didn't realize as a kid was that Baron Succumbit actually had a brother, Lord Carnus. Now, I found out after reading this is the second edition version of Titan. If you turn to page 104, you will get an entire history of Succumbit and Carnus. They are, I believe Carnus is the younger brother who has always kind of been jealous of his older brother because his older brother inherited all of their father's wealth. So Lord Carnus kind of puts himself in semi-exile on a place called Blood Island. And that is where the Trial of Champions, kind of the spiritual successor to Death Trap Dungeon, begins, where you are captured by pirates and you are kind of put through this gauntlet so that you will be the hero that Lord Carnus sends to Fang to compete in the Death Trap Dungeon and hopefully take the glory away from his brother and whatnot. An absolutely fantastic Fighting Fantasy book. But today I am bringing you The Dungeon on Blood Island by Ian Livingstone. Now, this is basically Lord Carnus creating his own version of Death Trap Dungeon. I haven't read it. I've only opened it to look at the art in it, but I have no idea what to expect. So I'll be going into this new, just like you're going into this new as well, and I cannot freaking wait. I am so pumped for this. The minute I saw this on Amazon, I'm like, I've got to get this one. This one is going to be awesome. I love the rivalry between Baron Succumbit and Lord Carnus. They are two of the greatest villain characters in all of Fighting Fantasy, in my personal opinion. So, you know what? Let's just jump straight into the game.
Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. People.
So here is everything you need to play a Fighting Fantasy game. We have our dice, our pen or pencil, whatever, the book itself. This is the character sheet with skill, stamina, luck. Equipment, I start only with a sword and backpack. I have no gold, no treasure. And it says I start with provisions, but it doesn't tell me how many. So, let's create our character. This is just a sheet for the enemies. And for skill, we roll a d6 and add 6. You remember how well this went last time? Hey, I got a 5. So my skill is 11 this time. My stamina, 6, 12, 18, 9, 20, 21, 22, 23. Not bad. And my luck, no, of course. My luck is 7. Okay. That's all the setup we need. So let's get started with... Okay, Blood Island, by the way, is way down here. I don't know where we start in the game itself. Okay. The fame and glory that Death Trap Dungeon had brought Baron Succumbit was something his brother Lord Carnus couldn't bear. People were in awe of the Baron and never stopped talking about his annual dungeon contest in Fang, and the heroes who died trying to win the prize of 10,000 gold pieces. Lord Karnas even sent his own battle-hardened champion to compete in the Trial of Champions, but he died a gruesome death along with everyone else. One year, a brave adventurer unexpectedly won, though, so Baron Succumvit rebuilt his dungeon and doubled the prize to 20,000 gold pieces, which simply added to the notoriety. Whenever Deathtrap Dungeon came up in conversation, Lord Karnas would fly into a rage, cursing his brother's name out aloud. Over time, his jealousy turned into hatred. To upstage Succumvit, Karnas decided to build a dungeon of his own on Blood Island, where he ruled, and offer an even greater prize to the victor. The prize would be the Golden Orb of Fang, which he'd won from his brother in a dice game many years before. The orb's value was difficult to estimate, but some say that, at an auction in Shazar, a bid of 25,000 gold pieces for such a legendary treasure would be the minimum expected. Karnas revelled in the idea of offering a reward that was once his brother's prized possession. His plan was to hide the orb deep inside the dungeon and protect it with deadly traps and ferocious monsters. He was certain the orb would never be found. His message to contestants would be simple: find the orb, escape from the dungeon, and the prize would be theirs to keep. Karnas built his dungeon by linking the underground caverns on Blood Island with a labyrinth of tunnels. Work began in secret using an army of slaves. It took less than a year to build, but at a cost of nearly 600 shackled souls. It was finished in time for the grand opening on the 31st day of fire, just weeks before Baron Succumvit's Trial of Champions took place in his reconstructed Deathtrap dungeon. Knowing his brother would be incensed by the news, Karnas sent a personal messenger to him inviting him to enter a champion of his own to try and win back his precious orb, or just to come as his guest and watch the greatest winner-take-all tournament in Alancia. Outraged by his brother's attempts to usurp him by offering the orb as a prize, Succumvit sent the messenger back to Blood Island with an exceptionally rude note, written in blood, stuffed in the mouth of a dead rat. Amused and encouraged, Karnas sent word to all the towns in Alancia to announce that his dungeon on Blood Island would be open to all comers to win the Golden Orb. He chartered a fleet of boats to ferry contestants and spectators to the islands from the mainland. Mortal Kombat, anybody? He built taverns and rooms for spectators close to the Arena of Death, where the contest would begin. News of the contest spread quickly. It soon became the talking point in every tavern and market square in Lancia. Adventurers, warriors, and villains from far and wide bragged that they would go to Blood Island to win the Golden Orb. You hear about the tournament on Blood Island from a merchant in Scar, where you have come to sell a bronze sword you found on an expedition to Kalong Marshes. With 5 gold pieces from its sale in your pocket, you are thinking about travelling to Fang to sign up for the Trial of Champions, but are intrigued by the new dungeon challenge on Blood Island. You walk down to the port where you see a crowd of people gathered in front of a small ship moored at the dock. The ship's captain is addressing the crowd, which is becoming increasingly noisy. This afternoon we will sail to Blood Island, where only the bravest warriors will compete for the orb, he bellows. All you have to do is to enter the contest to win Lord Karnas' gold orb is step aboard my ship and sign up. And those of you who just wish to watch the contest, step on board and sail with us. Winning a prize worth 25,000 gold pieces seems unimaginable, and it's a challenge you cannot resist. Without further thought, you raise your arm and push your way through the crowd to walk up the gangplank to sign up for the contest. You're followed on board by a ruddy-faced dwarf who also signs up to take the challenge. The captain shakes your hand firmly before welcoming more than 50 passengers aboard who want to witness the spectacle for themselves. When the ship sets sail, all the passengers talk about is the dungeon and its monsters and whether any of the contestants would survive. The dwarf introduces himself to you as Thump and gives you a soft punch on the arm to emphasize his name. He is a stout man with a long beard and a studded iron helmet pulled down over his big bushy eyebrows. He's wearing a leather tunic and holding a huge warhammer with a handle that is almost as long as he is. He tells you he comes from Stonebridge, a village that was almost destroyed by marauding iron giants. He says that if he won the Golden Orb, he would pay for Stonebridge to be rebuilt. He spends the voyage telling you tales of his many adventures, most of which seem wildly exaggerated. When you question him about his claim that he once killed a dragon with his bare hands, he leans back and roars, well, maybe not entirely barehanded, but why spoil a good story with the truth? Trump is a jovial, larger-than-life character, and you can't help but like him, but it does feel slightly strange knowing that you will soon be competing with him for the Golden Orb. Calm seas, a following wind, and sunny skies make for a pleasant voyage, and when Blood Island is spotted on the horizon, a loud cheer erupts on board. As the ship sails into harbour, you see a large crowd of people waving from the dock, eager to see the new contestants. There's a carnival atmosphere with people laughing and cheering, trumpets blaring, and drums beating loudly. Okay, there we have some fantastic art of Lord Carnus. Standing quietly, surveilling the scene from a wooden platform, set back from a crowded dock, is a tall, stocky man wearing an elaborate headpiece and purple robes filled out with huge shoulder pads. He seems to be quietly enjoying the moment. He is surrounded by stern-faced guards who push back anybody who tries to get close to the platform. A trumpet sounds, and when he raises his arms, the crowd falls silent. The ship's captain orders you and Thump to follow him off the ship and walk through the crowd to the platform where the captain bows to the roadman. Lord Carnus, I bring you 2 more contestants, he says sharply. The roadman thanks the captain and glares at you and Thump before turning to address the throng. Citizens and honoured guests, I have good news to share with you. We now have 120 contestants to compete. I wonder which one, if any, will triumph, he says, teasing the cheering crowd. He snaps his fingers at a guard and growls, feed and water these 2 wretches. They will need all their strength for the contest tomorrow. You are taken to a camp where a group of contestants are huddled together talking. Does this seem like Squid Game to you? Some are practicing their weapon skills, others are asleep, arms folded, leaning back against wooden cabins. They are a grisly mix of warriors, barbarians, knights, thieves, ninjas, dwarves, elves, man-orcs, pirates, adventurers, and thugs who stare at you coldly as you walk into camp. Thump whispers in your ear, suggesting that the 2 of you should stick together at least until the tournament starts. You spend the rest of the afternoon exercising and sharpening your sword. Thump swings his warhammer around his head and smashes it into the ground, practicing the move many times. I think I'll use my warhammer to fight the next dragon I meet, he says with a wink. When the sun starts to go down, you are led to long wooden tables that are piled high with bowls of food. You sit down to a feast of vegetable soup, spit roast chicken, grilled fish, cheese, fruit, and honey. Enjoy your dinner, a guard shouts. It'll probably be your last. What a prick. After the meal, you are taken to a log cabin where you share with 9 others and told that you will be woken at sunrise to receive further instructions. A bell tolls at dawn, and Carnus's guards barge into your cabin, yelling at everyone to get up. When all the contestants are assembled outside, Lord Carnus enters the camp and walks slowly up the steps to a small rostrum to address you. Welcome. Today is your day of destiny. Look around at your fellow contestants. Do they look stronger than you? Do they look quicker than you? Do they look smarter than you? Do you think you can defeat them in combat? As you can see, there are 120 contestants, all of you hoping to win the Golden Orb. Do you think the 120 contestants are too many to enter my dungeon? If you do, well, you're right. You will now be escorted to the Arena of Death, where an elimination contest will take place. You will compete against one another until just 12 contestants remain who will have earned the right to enter my dungeon. I call it my Dungeon of Despair. It's filled with deadly creatures, lethal traps, and horrific surprises. He says with a beaming smile. Of the final 12, 11 will most likely perish in the dungeon, and perhaps all 12. But with good fortune, wise decision-making, and skilled combat, one of you might win through to claim the Golden Orb as your prize today. Be brave and be strong. May your swords be sharp and your wits sharper. With his solemn words ringing in your ears, you watch Lord Carnus leave the camp with his entourage, following at a respectful distance. This is the same kind of shit that he pulled in Trial of Champions. Okay, fantastic picture there. You are marched into the Arena of Death, which is a high-walled amphitheatre with a sand-covered floor and a bank of spectator seats circling the arena wall. With the spectator seats empty, an eerie silence prevails. The captain of the guard orders you to line up in 12 columns of 10. You'll do everything I tell you to do. Stand to attention and do not move until Lord Carnus is seated, he shouts, barking his orders. Without another word, he turns and leaves the arena. The hours pass, but Lord Carnus fails to appear. By mid-afternoon, the sun is unbearably hot. and you see that you are not the only one who is suffering in the heat. All of the contestants are perspiring heavily, and some are swaying on their feet. You glance to your left and see Thump, who is grimacing but looking determined not to fail. You have a splitting headache, your mouth is bone dry, and you are desperate to quench your thirst. Lose 1 stamina. Okay. So I'm down to 22. Okay. If you want to take a sip of water from your flask, or if you want to remain standing to attention. See, this is the kind of shit. You know what? I'm going to take a sip of water because this is usually a trick. What do I go to? 56. You reach down for your flask and are immediately set upon by 2 guards who beat you to the ground with wooden staves. Lose 2 stamina. Oh, of course. Okay. Down to 20. Stand to attention. Do not move again until you are told to do so. One of them screams you angrily. You pick yourself up and resume your standing position with your headache now worse than ever. 323. Time passes slowly in the blistering heat, which is draining you of energy. Lose 1 stamina. Down to 19. All you can think about is having a long drink of cold water. You feel dizzy and dehydrated, but manage to stay on your feet without moving. 141. The spectators are finally allowed into the arena late in the afternoon. They cheer the contestants, some of whom look as though they're about to pass out from heat exhaustion. By the time the arena is full, 10 contestants are lying face down in the sand. A trumpet fanfare blasts out to signal the arrival of Lord Carnus. The spectators stand to applaud him, but he takes his place on the ornate throne, while the unconscious contestants are dragged out of the arena, their contest over before it even began. Carnus raises his arms to silence the trumpet and acknowledge the crowd. Standing next to Carnus is a tall, mean-faced officer in a red uniform who steps forward to address the contestants with his sword raised in the air. "Thank you for your patience," he says insincerely. "You may now drink water. You do so eagerly. Add 1 stamina points." Back to 20. Okay. Where am I? There we go. As you have been informed by Lord Carnus, only 12 of you will enter the Dungeon of Despair. 10 contestants have been eliminated already, and another 98 are about to be eliminated in a qualifying tournament. The first round is called Bullseye, and you'll need a partner for this contest. Choose one now. With no information to go on, you look at the people close to you. If you want to team with Thump, if you want to choose the High Elf, if you want to choose the Pirate. They want me to go with Thump, so I'm going to go with Thump because I know this guy and he's a bit of a dick, in my opinion. He's a dwarf, whatever. After all the contestants have selected their partners, the officer announces with gusto, "Bullseye is an archery contest." Oh, I should have picked the half-fucking elf. "I hope you've chosen wisely because the target for this contest are the contestants." He sniggers, hardly able to contain himself. The spectators gasp in shock. You look at Thump and shake your head. He stares back at you with a deep frown on his face. Form yourselves in 2 lines of 55 contestants, making sure you stand opposite your partner 30 paces apart. You'll be given a bow and you must fire the arrow at your partner when you hear the trumpet sound. Anybody who is hit by an arrow will be eliminated, some fatally so. You have no choice but to take your place in line to face Thump. Guards enter the arena to hand out bows and arrows to the contestants. You see Thump's arrow aimed at you, and in 2 minds of what to do, you take aim and await the sound of the trumpet. The crowd roars as the trumpet blasts out a high-pitched note. Do I fire at Thump or do I aim over his head? Oh man, this is... I'm in it for the money. Aiming at Thump. 335. An eerie whooshing sound as a cloud of arrows flies across the arena, followed by the sickening thud of many of them hitting their target. There are loud oohs and ahs coming from the baying crowd as contestants fall to the ground, clutching the arrows lodged in their torsos. Roll 2 dice. 4. If the total rolled is the same or less than your skill score, turn to 223. The arrow fired by Thump flies over your head. Having never learned how to use a bow, his arrow misses you by some distance. Alas, he is not so fortunate. Your aim is accurate and your arrow strikes home. You watch him sink slowly to his knees, holding his stomach where the arrow is protruding from. He stares at you coldly, his teeth clenched in pain. Lose 2 luck. Okay, shouldn't have done that, but whatever. Down to 5. Filled with remorse, you barely notice the noise of the spectators or the groans of the injured contestants. The trumpet blasts out again and often instructs survivors to line up against the wall opposite him. The injured contestants are led away and the dead are dragged out of the arena by Karnas's guards. You watch poor Thump stagger away slowly, head bowed, his contest over. The officer looks along the line of survivors and said, matter-of-factly, by my count there are 47 of you left in the qualifying tournament. Lord Karnas requires that number to be reduced to 12 within the hour. It is time to choose a partner for the next contest. It is called Heavy Metal. Do it now. If you want to choose the Burly Man-Orc or if you want to choose the Barechester Barbarian. Heavy Metal. Heavy Metal. I'm going to go with the Man-Orc. 377. You stand opposite the Man-Orc who grunts loudly when he catches your eye. The gates open and an ox-drawn cart piled high with iron balls rolls slowly into the arena. The officer instructs everyone to take an iron ball from the cart and stand holding it above their head opposite their partner. The ball is heavy and you have difficulty lifting it above your head. Snarling and snorting to focus on the task, the Man-Orc has no trouble lifting his ball. Your arms soon start to ache. The crowd cheers as the iron balls thud to the ground all around the arena with the eliminated contestants led away by the guards. The muscles in your arms tremble under the weight of the ball and you wonder how much longer you can last. Lose 2 stamina. Down to 18. You glare at the sweating Man-Orc, whose gritted teeth and white expression tell you that he's also beginning to feel the strain. 149. You see your opponent shaking under the weight of the iron ball, but you are shaking too, with the burning pain of your arms almost unbearable. 166. You begin to lose your grip on the iron ball, and much to the delight of your opponent and the cheering crowd, there is nothing you can do but let it drop on the ground. A guard grabs your arm and leads you out of the arena. You cannot believe that you're out of the contest so soon. Your adventure is over. And that is the dungeon of Blood Island, where I didn't even make it to the dungeon. I don't care. I love that. I will replay it again at some point and see how I do. But for now, a really great setup, very reminiscent of Trial of Champions, where you have Lord Karnas kind of testing everyone in the arena to see which one will be his champion. In this case, which ones will go into the dungeon. But I cannot wait to play this again. That was freaking fantastic, even though I made some really bad choices at the beginning and really didn't get anywhere. I don't really care. That was fun as shit. This is what I love about fighting fantasy game books. As long or as short as the playthrough is, they are always memorable. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know I freaking did. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell your friends about the channel. But most importantly, everyone, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And of course, roll some fucking dice, people.